All righty. So thank you everybody for attending tonight. This is Maryland Capital Enterprises First Steps in Starting Your Small Business. This is something we've been doing for a number of years to help folks get an idea of what it takes to start a business and finance a business. And after this, you can start taking other webinars that we have, and we'll be talking about a bunch of those at the end of the class as well. So first, a little bit about Maryland Capital Enterprises. We are what is called a CDFI, a community development financial institution. Most people think of us as a nonprofit bank, but we actually do a lot more than that. We started in 1998 on the Eastern Shore, giving technical assistance and small loans of about $500 to businesses on the Lower Shore. We eventually became an SBA lender, crossed the bridge over to the Western Shore in 2012, and currently serve the entire Eastern Shore, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County. So one other thing that's really great about us is that we are an SBA Women's Business Center, both in Baltimore and in Salisbury. And what that means is that we have enhanced services for women-owned businesses, such as paid consultants and a women's business conference each March. To find out more about us, you can look up marylandcapital.org or a Women's Business Center at Women's Business Center at marylandcapitalenterprises.org. So most people want to talk to us about money, so I'll talk a little bit about that. We are certified to lend from a lot of different government agencies, from the Department of Treasury, the USDA, even the state of Maryland will give us money to lend out. The SBA backs those loans, which means that a certain percentage of each loan they will pay back if it's not paid back. Basically, if you apply for a loan and are approved, we're going to get you into the cheapest money with the longest term, so you have the lowest possible monthly payment. And that's because we don't have prepayment penalties, so anything you pay on top of that would just go straight to the principal. But of course, I like to put this at the end of this slide. We do provide the counseling and training and all of that, whether or not you ever want to apply for a loan. So let's get into the first steps for starting your small business. All right. So there's a lot of reasons why folks want to start a small business. You know, making money is a big one, to be your own boss, to make your own hours, take a hobby into something that's going to support you. Other folks want to create jobs for people in their community. But really, what's important is that if you're going to start that small business, that you are passionate about it, that it's something that you love or that is very important to you, because before you start making all that money and opening up and having all those customers, you're going to need to spend a lot of time, what I like to call building a foundation. So that's going to take a lot of thorough planning, creativity, and hard work, and it's going to take longer than you think it's going to take. But think about construction sites. I'm in Baltimore City. You see a vacant lot downtown that there's going to be a skyscraper on, and you see a poster with that skyscraper for 18 months as it looks like there's nothing going on the ground. That's because they're doing all their testing and their studies and getting everything together so that that building has a strong foundation. And then you notice once they start going up, they pop up really quickly. And that's sort of what we want to see here. Spend a lot of time building that foundation so that you can make your business a success as quickly as possible. Now, the scary slide, I like to call it. Yes, a lot of small businesses fail, and there are a lot of different reasons why they fail. Sometimes they just, the business owner didn't do the work. Sometimes it wasn't something that was popular in the community. If everybody could please, all right, sorry about that. So, but there's a lot of reasons why businesses close. And, it can be, let's think about restaurants. All those people that win Michelin stars are always opening up new restaurants and closing successful ones. They also have folks who sell their businesses to other people, and that might be considered a close. So while these numbers are high, they're not actually as bad as it seems. So, a few questions before starting your business. Now, I'm not going to read 20 questions to you. It's over the next two slides. But basically, what you really want to be thinking about is, what is my business? Who is my customer? Who is going to be the target customer that I'm going to go for? I know most businesses can serve everybody, but you really want to drill down on a demographic or how much money people make, so that you can really be getting the right customers through your door. You also want to think about, will you be home based, or will you need a retail location? Will you need employees? And if you do, how many will you need? Do you need suppliers? How are you going to get money to get started? If you need money, can you get a loan? Are there grants available for your business type? You also want to think about your competition. There's other people doing what you do. No matter how unique you think your idea is, somebody else is doing it. How long does it take to start making a profit? You need to know how much money you want to have saved up so you can continue paying your rent or mortgage and eating and clothing yourselves. You also want to think about how you're going to structure your price and structure your business. You're going to want to research and figure out the taxes that you're going to need to pay, the insurance that you're going to need, and how you're going to get the word out about your business. Now, these are the general 10 steps in starting a business. And it's good to know that while they are numbered, they are not always done in this order, and they are not ranked in importance. But let's go through each one. First, in getting started, you all are already doing it. Get business assistance and training. There is nowhere in the country better than Maryland for small business assistance. That's because we're right by DC and we have so much military around us. There is tons of federal money being put into small businesses, which means that there are lots of nonprofits just like us. Also, for-profit banks offer things like this that offer free opportunities for you to come learn and ask questions. I suggest you talk to everybody. We are in a very collaborative atmosphere. Ask us all the same questions and find who you're most comfortable with and go with them. Number two, you need to write a thorough business plan. That doesn't mean you need to have a 100-page business plan, but what it means is you need to get the word out about your business, how it's going to be run, and who your customers are. We're going to go into a little bit more detail about that in just a bit. You're going to need to understand your employer responsibilities. And what that means is, will you have employees? You're going to have certain taxes because of that. You're going to have to see if you need to provide insurance to your employees. You're going to have to understand, working with minors and how breaks work. So you really want to understand your responsibilities as an employer. You're going to need to choose a business location. Are you online and able to work out of your house? Do you just need a small office and a co-working space that you don't need 24/7? Or do you need a retail location because you're opening up a restaurant or a dress shop or something like that? You then want to determine your legal structure of your business. You can be an LLC, an S Corp, anything you want, but you want to look and see, which one makes sense the most for you legally. An LLC will take away some of your liability, but might be less flexible than some other kinds. It's also good to know that you can change the structure of your business after it's already started. Then you want to register a business name or a doing business as. It might be the official name of your business, or you may decide that you want to own a lot of businesses. So I might start Nick Rudolph Corp. And then have different businesses doing business as what they are specifically called. You need to register not only for state and local taxes, but you need to get your federal ID number from the IRS. So you need to go to irs.gov and get that federal ID number. And then you need to go to the Maryland Business Express to register the business online. Then you need to look at your local jurisdiction and figure out what types of licenses and permits you need to open and go ahead and get those. Also, you're going to want to think about how you're going to finance the business. Did you hit the lottery and you can just pay it yourself? Are you going to need loans? Did you save up money? Do you have friends and family who are willing to invest? And then you want to develop your marketing plan. And that's not just how you're going to advertise. It's more about where you are in the market. And we're going to go into a little bit more detail in there in the business plan in just a few minutes. So, understanding your market. There's a reason why you want to understand your market. There's many reasons, actually. Number one, it helps you understand your business risk so you can reduce it. It helps you determine if there's room in the marketplace for your business. I often say if you're going to open a pizza shop on a block with 6 pizza shops, you're going to need to make an argument. And that argument might be that it's the pizza block for the city, and that's where people goes, and a place opened up, space opened up that was a very popular place, and you feel like you can fill that in. It might be that you're doing something different. You also want to look for current and oncoming problems in your industry. We just came out of a pandemic. During the pandemic, cleaning companies and trucking companies got really, really big. And now you're starting to see some of them have some problems because there's not as much work for them to do. It's also going to help you identify sales opportunities. Understanding your market will help you understand that there are other people that you're not thinking about who might be customers of yours. And then it provides the data and citations that you're going to need for your business plan. How are you going to get that information? Google is your friend. Just Google your industry and your location and look for trends. You'll find articles that you can quote. You can also look for industry publications. Sometimes there'll be information on the government websites. If you're a member of your chamber, they may have that as well. And always remember to think locally, regionally, and nationally. We had a business that was a comic book shop that listed 3 competitors in their business plan. 2 of those were local comic shops, and 1 was Amazon.com. We understood that she knew that all of the stuff that she sells can be bought online and that she's going to need to do something to bring people into her store. Now, there are pros and cons to opening a business, and we're going to talk very briefly about those. So, the pros: you're your own boss, so you can't really be fired. You get to determine your income based on your efforts. You're hopefully doing something you love, because why would you start the business otherwise? And you can help provide jobs to take care of their families. The cons are you're going to work longer than you ever have before. You are going to be financially at risk in this business. No matter what, you're going to have to put some skin in the game, and it's going to be risky for you. You may have to go without income for a significant amount of time. You might find out that you need additional certifications or even degrees that you'll have to take additional education. You have to understand that you're not going to be able to take vacations for quite a while. That 1 week or 2 weeks off is just something that's happening way in the future. You're going to have trouble finding time for yourself, especially at the beginning, because when you're starting that business, it wholly consumes you. And while you don't have a boss, sort of everybody is your boss. All of your customers, even your employees, everybody out there you need to keep happy to keep your business running. Now, there are special business types out there that can get grants. Oftentimes people talk about grants for small businesses. The truth of the matter is that generally there are not grants for small businesses other than facade improvement grants in certain jurisdictions. So if you're going to open up a retail shop, contact your county or your city and find out if there are facade improvement grants. But these other types of businesses, green, veteran-owned, youth-owned, women-owned, people with disability-owned, Native American, and then also things like childcare and educational businesses, sometimes medical businesses, have small grants that are available to them, but they're certainly not going to fund the entire business. So, what do you need to be successful as a business owner? So, what you're going to need is experience in your field and knowledge of your products. And if you don't have that knowledge, you're going to need to show us where you're going to find that. Find a mentor, go to college and get those skills. But you really want to make sure that you either are an expert or have an expert with you. Do you have any business management experience? Did you manage a Taco Bell while you were in college? And so you sort of understand how to deal with employees. If not, how are you going to get that? What classes are you going to take? Who is going to be your mentor? Are you creative? Can you recognize problems and solve them in the moment? You really want to focus on, basically being able to do improv. A lot of small business owners actually take improv comedy classes because it helps you think on your feet. I'm not suggesting that everybody do that, but it is a good time, and you will get some skills out of that. You can also gain the skills, of course, with an education or a mentor, as I said. So when you're starting a small business, especially if you are going to have a space, you're going to want to check with your local zoning requirements for, where you can build the businesses and what type of licenses you need. You're going to need insurance and a banker and bookkeepers, and you're going to need to understand your credit. And to help do that, you want to assemble a bail team. This is a pretty new concept, but bail is your banker. B as in banker. Develop a relationship with that banker early, before you ever need money. If you haven't started your money before your business, even before you started the business, tell them what you want to do. They may know of free classes for you or of different programs that might be able to help you out. When you are talking with them, be honest and transparent about everything. If you have credit issues, let them know that. And of course, like I said, ask about any small business education provided by the bank. An accountant. Again, you don't need to hire an accountant, but you want to have a relationship with the people in the accounting field so that when you need them, you can have them. Now, if you have one on retainer that's sort of doing your taxes and looking over your books, they're going to ensure that you're not going to miss any federal or state tax filings or any other types of filings. If you miss those, your business goes into not good standing. And if your business is not in good standing, you can't take advantage of programs like ours. Also, they do provide some protection if you're audited. The I is the insurance agent. You need to talk to an insurance agent and figure out, do you just need a $600, $1,200 general liability policy? Or are you working with food or kids or animals or driving or something that's going to bring that cost up? It's also going to be helpful when you're adding employees, because these folks might also be able to help you get things like health insurance. You're also going to want to have a lawyer. Again, not on retainer, but know who does small business in your area. Just get to know them, tell them what you do, and save money in case you do need to use them. So now we're going to move into the business plan. But before we do, since this is sort of a good stopping point, are there any questions generally about starting a business?
I have a question regarding when a couple of slides back, you said that we'd have to get in touch with the IRS and get a federal ID number, was it you said?
Yes, so that's your EIN number.
Oh, the EIN number. Okay.
Yeah, that's the federal ID number. Same thing. All righty. Any other questions? All right, so we're going to move right into the business plan. This is going to be a quick overview. We do offer a full hour business plan and cash flow training, or of course, I'm more than happy to work with you one-on-one. So what should a business plan contain? Well, it contains the blueprint for your business. It shows everybody what you do, who you're going to do it for, and how you're going to do it. But I like to think of it almost as a resume for your business as well. And just like a resume, you're going to change it depending on who's reading it. So let's say you find a grant opportunity. That's when you're going to focus on hiring locally and what you do for the community. But if you're applying for a loan at a regular bank, they like that, but what they want to know is, are you going to pay back the loan? And so you want to put your financials first when you're talking to the bank. So you really want to think who your audience is. So now I'm going to go over the 4 parts of a business plan. This is what we suggest, that you have all of this information in it. If you feel you can tell your story better not using these section headers, I trust that you know how to tell your story best. We do have a business plan template. Anybody who emails me, again, I'll put my email in the chat, and it's also going to be on the last slide. I will get you a copy of that, and I'm more than happy to talk it over with you. But the first part is your executive summary. So that is going to sort of be your elevator speech. It's going to let folks know what you're looking for, so they know what to look for in the rest of the business plan. And they're also going to get an idea of who you are and why you started the business. I always recommend starting your business plan with a sentence like, and I'll make up a fake business. I do like pickles, so I'd say something like, Nick's Dill Pickles LLC makes wholesale pickles for restaurants in Baltimore, Maryland, and we are seeking a loan of $25,000 to buy new canning equipment to meet our increased demand. If that's my first sentence, the reader is going to know who I am, what I do, and what I'm looking for. So they're going to know what they want to look for to see if they're going to give me a yes or a no. Then you want to talk a little bit about why you are passionate about it. What got you into this business? Did you start an assisted living place because you saw how badly your elders and your family were treated? Or did somebody in your family have a great experience and you wanted to provide that for other people? It's also easiest to write this part last, because you might be pulling out of the latter parts of the business plan. The next section is the marketing plan. This is generally the longest part of your business plan and is much more than how are you going to advertise. First, you want to describe your industry. You wanted to show that there is room for you in it because it's growing in your area. You then want to talk about your target customer base. As I said before, it could be everybody, but you really want to drill down. So let's look at salons and barbershops. Sure, anybody can come and sit in a chair and get their hair cut. But if you've got a salon that is, looking, targeting advertisements at African American women between 35 and 50 who make 100 to $150,000, then you're going to want to set your spa up in a certain place, in a certain way, so that you can attract those folks, and then anybody else who comes in is sort of gravy. You're also going to want to talk about your competition. As I said before, it's best to list three. Then you want to talk about what they do well, and then why you'll be able to compete in the market with them. What is your special sauce? Is it customer service? Is it pricing? Is it a service or a way of doing service that nobody else does? Then you want to talk about your marketing strategy. That's when you're going to talk about how you're going to advertise. And just saying social media is not enough. Talk about how you're going to do it. Are you planning on doing a lot at first and tapering off? If you're the type of business that might be in medical where you really need to be advertising to hospitals and Medicare and Medicaid, how are you going to do that networking? This helps you identify your competitive edge. The last two sections are the organization or operations part. This is where you talk about your day-to-day business. Are you open a retail place? If so, what are your hours? If it's not retail, what hours are you going to be opening or answering the phones? What legal form will your business take? If it's not just you, what does your management structure and employee hiring look like? You want to talk about a contingency plan. What happens if you get ill and cannot work for 3 months? How will your business survive? And since we are still coming out of the pandemic, just describe in a few sentences what you will do if either an employee or a customer informs you that they've contracted COVID. The financial plan is often the shortest portion of the business plan. If you're a new business, you're going to want to talk about your startup costs and discuss any cash flow projections. We'll go over projections in just a moment. Talk about what you're going to do with the money. And if you have some credit issues personally, this would be an opportunity for you to describe those so that we don't get surprises when we pull your credit. If you're an existing business, we're going to want to see some profit and loss statements and quarterly balance sheets in there as well. Like I said, this feels like it may be a lot, but I've seen amazing business plans that are 4 or 5 pages. So as long as you get that information in and it's coherent, it's probably going to be great. A few key tips on the business plan. Write it yourself. Don't hire somebody to write it. Don't use AI fully to write your business plan. We'll be able to tell that. We would much rather have inconsistent fonts and a few spelling errors, but really understand who you are as a person than read, a sterilized document that looks like every other business plan for every business that is in your field. So you really want to get it personal. Let us know who you are. So another part of the business plan, or often a separate document that's an addendum, are your cash flow projections. And what are they? Well, they're looking into the future to show how much money you think is going to come in, how much money you think is going to go out, so that you can determine your profit. So why do we need them? It's a lot of work to put these together. Well, number one, they're required for most loans. It's a great planning tool to figure out how much your sales are going to be. It shows you the difference between profit and cash flow. If you're bringing in $15 million a month, but spending 15.5, you're not a successful business. It's just good governance, and it shows you when you can start taking money out yourself. So it really is a great document, but it is a living document that's going to change over the life of the business. So you see this scary spreadsheet on the side. I'm happy to send that to you as well. Again, the email will be at the end. It already has all the formulas put in it. And of course, I'm more than willing to walk you through it as well over a Zoom meeting individually. But the most important thing to realize is that not only will this not be 100% accurate, the odds are that the vast majority of these cells in reality will have different numbers than your projections, and that is totally okay. What we're looking for is an idea that you know how your business is going to work and how it's going to make money. We also want to show that it's going to work well in the most conservative of situations. So even if you know you're going to make $1 billion in year one, show us you can do it making 100,000. An example is we had a person who made homemade or handmade wedding invitations, and they charged $1,000 a wedding. In their projections, they said there are 10,000 weddings a year in Maryland. That means that I'm going to make $10 million. Well, you can't do 10,000 weddings as a one-person shop. Not everybody gets wedding invitations. People go to the justice of the peace. Not everybody's going to spend $1,000 on their wedding invitation. So we got that person to show us that they can make it on 5 or 10 a month, got their loan. You want to include as many income streams and expense streams as possible. So if you've got a restaurant, you may want to think dine-in, carry-out catering, or maybe food, alcohol, and merchandise. The reason why you want to do that is you can see what is meeting your expectations and what isn't. If something isn't, do you want to beef that up, or do you want to focus your energy on the things that are doing well? When you're putting these things together, you want to see if your sales change month to month based on your business. Like, for instance, if you're a landscaper as opposed to if you're a plumber. You want to include your loan as income and your payments as expenses. If you have other loans that you've taken out, you want to show those as expenses. And we want to make sure that you're paying yourself. We want to make sure that you as a business owner are able to feed, clothe, and house yourself and have a little left over to have a little fun. So we're now going to talk about the loans that are available to small businesses. These are just through Maryland Capital Enterprises, but other CDFIs offer similar loans and have similar sort of policies of how to get them. So for us, our general small business loans range from $5,000 to $35,000 for any business that is 2 years old or newer. If you've been around for 2 full tax years, you are able to apply for up to $150,000 in this loan. The terms will be 1 to 10 years. A $50,000 loan will probably be 5 or 6. Anything over 100 will be 10. Currently, our interest rates are set at 6 to 12%. Most of these loans are going out at 8 or 9% right now. We do require collateral. We can be very flexible with it, and it does not need to be the full amount of the loan. If you've got stronger credit, or you can show that your business has been doing well, collateral becomes less important. All owners who own 20% or more of the company must personally guarantee the loan. If you have so many owners that nobody owns 20% of the company, we're going to want to see 3 or 4 folks personally guarantee that loan. The application fee is going to be $100 plus $25 for each credit report we pull, and that's for each owner. There are closing costs involved in the loan. Generally, a $50,000 loan will walk out the door with about $48,250. We do automatic payments out of your business account, either on the 1st or the 15th of the month, depending on your loan. They generally start somewhere around 45 days after your loan closes. We have no penalties whatsoever for prepayment as long as your loan is at least 30 days old. So if you hit the lottery or get that big government contract and can pay it off, you just pay off whatever the principal is at that exact moment. We will visit you twice a year, either virtually or in person. While you have the loan, we'll want to see your books, talk about your business, and let you know about any resources that we may have for you. Questions that we often get are, what can we use these business loans for, and what kind of businesses can use these loans? So the business loans can be used for any business expense. So that can be build out, furniture, equipment, rent, unless you're a home-based business. If you're a home-based business, we cannot pay for your rent or your utilities. Also, if you are in the business of buying properties as investments, we can't buy the property or rehab the property, but we can build out your office, buy your trucks, buy your reusable equipment. As far as business types, any legal business in the state of Maryland, other than things that are in the traditional sin industries, adult bookstores, alcohol-only establishments, we are able to work with both recreational and medical cannabis businesses. That is a yes. We can work with both of those kinds of businesses. Oftentimes, they don't need loans because they're making enough money anyway. We also have a much smaller loan that's called our Credit Builder loan. That loan is for folks who either don't have credit or have low credit, are just looking to dip their toes into entrepreneurialism, or who have an existing business and have money that they need quickly to fix something like a tree root growing through a pipe or something. I did see a question about what types of collateral we can use. Of course, real estate is going to be the strongest, but we've used automobiles, life insurance policies, artwork, jewelry. We can get really creative equipment purchased with a loan. So even if you think you don't have collateral, you might. And even if you don't, we might know of some folks who'll be able to help you out without collateral as well. So these 500 to $5,000 credit builder loans do have a 9% interest rate and do not require collateral. Everything else is the same except for much smaller costs at a $50 plus 25 per credit report fee, and then a $75 closing cost. Everything else is the same there. All righty. So how do you get these loans? So what we want to see is a clearly established business idea through a thorough business plan. We want to see that you have experience in the field or a mentor. We want to see the strength and like sort of realisticness of your cash flows, the strength of your collateral, and reasonable credit. The first question I often get asked is, what is your minimum credit score? And the answer for us, this is not the same across the board, is we do not have a minimum credit score. We're looking at what you've done over the last 12 to 18 months, understanding that we're coming out of a pandemic, and that people have lower credit scores due to lost jobs, having to take care of ill family members, things like that. So we're able to look at reasons why people may have missed payments. There are a few things that we cannot look over, however, because we are federally funded. So you cannot have a bankruptcy discharged in the last 24 months, and you cannot have a tax debt without a payment plan. If you do have a payment plan, then we just look at it like a credit card payment. We want to look at, like I said, the general economic conditions of the venue. Is there room for you in the market? And if the business does not succeed, are you able to repay the loan? Can you get back into the workforce, support yourself, and repay the loan? So what do you need to apply? For us, it's all done online. We have an intake form that you fill out online, an application, and what we call a personal information supplement, which is a simplified personal financial statement. In the loan application, you'll be attaching your business plan, your cash flow projections, your personal and business taxes if you have them, 3 months of personal and business bank statements if you have them. If you're an existing business, we're going to want to see profit and loss statements and quarterly balance sheets. We're going to need some proof that your loan was turned down by another lender. It doesn't mean you have to have gone through the whole process. If you can get a banker to just say, I don't think this is the right time. We don't do startups. We don't do loans that small. That's enough. Everything else here is optional, but really helpful. Reference letters, leases, estimates, invoices, contracts. Sometimes the loan committee will require these documents on specific businesses. So it's good to have these all in hands. As far as the reference letters go, I like to tell a story about a salon where we had a person who was a stylist who rented a chair in another place. They came to us with a stack of 30 letters from clients saying, when she opens up her shop, I'm going to move over to her shop. That made the loan committee feel pretty good that she was going to have some money coming in as soon as she opened up. So what I say is send everything you can. We'll help sort of filter it out and get the right documents to the loan committee. So what happens? So we accept applications through the first Friday of the month for a decision by the end of that month. It can occasionally take longer due to scheduling, or we sometimes may need more information from your business. You also you're assigned a staff member who will review your entire application. If we have suggestions for ways that we might be able to improve your business plan or cash flows, we have some time to work on those. Then we'll ask you for additional paperwork, possibly. At that point, once we have all that, we'll follow up again and let you know your application is complete. At that point, we pull your credit. If we look at the credit and feel like there may be some concerns for the loan committee, we will show you the full credit report and ask you to explain those things. If we pull the credit and feel that the credit is just something where the loan committee will absolutely not say yes, we will let you know that at that time. The reason why is if they say no, you have to wait 12 months to reapply, whereas you might be able to do something in a month or two to get your credit up so that you can apply right then. So if that happens, it's not a hard no, it's a no, but we'll try to help you get your credit up. If it's a yes, we'll issue a commitment letter and generally close the loan within 3 to 4 weeks. If you use real estate as collateral, we will need an appraisal that is 1 year old or newer. Don't get that appraisal until your loan is approved. So before I finish up and open it up for more questions, if you remember at the beginning, I said take advantage of all the resources that you have to you. This is a list of just some of those resources. So of course, most county libraries have a business center. Most counties have an economic development organization. Most have a chamber of commerce. Join it. Talk to the Maryland Department of Commerce. They'll know about any tax incentives or grants you might be eligible for. The Small Business Development Center, or SBDC, is run by the SBA and offers free and low-cost training and mentors. The SBA, just on their own, offers great training. SCORE is the senior core of retired executives. You might be able to find a free mentor that is a retired executive that's done exactly what you're doing to help you out. Universities have great entrepreneurship programs. We work very closely with Salisbury and Morgan State, but just about everyone does. And then, of course, your local business organizations like your Main Streets, your downtown partnerships, and things like that. Before I close out, I like to say 5 things at the end of each of these presentations. Number one, when you're looking for capital, don't quit your day job. You want to make sure that there's income coming in. Unless you are an accountant, you need an accountant. And honestly, if you are an accountant, you probably need a separate one. You're going to be in the weeds when you're starting your business, and it's very easy to miss those deadlines. That accountant is going to make sure you don't miss it. Like I've said twice before, ask for help. There's so much free stuff around here. This is also number 4, time to keep your money in the bank. If you're looking for a business loan, it's not the time to open up credit cards or buy a car or a house. It also means that you want to sort of curtail spending so you show that you're able to save money. And last, but maybe most important, no business is an island. People go to small businesses because small businesses are part of their community, and it makes them feel good when going to those businesses. So give to local charities, join your local groups, be a member of that community. Now, when you're thinking about charities, we are living in a pretty heightened situation in this country. So try to do things that everybody can get down with. Kids, animals, military, food banks, things like that. The reason why you walk into a bar and there's sports on instead of news is because if there was Fox or MSNBC on, half the people walking in would be offended and might turn out. I've always said that unless you have a political business, your customers should not know how you vote because everybody's dollars spend exactly the same. We have a lot of upcoming free webinars. They're available in our education tab on our website. These are just a few of them. And then I will go ahead and leave up this last screen with my contact information. Also with Miri, who's been on here watching. She's our new Women's Business Center coordinator. You can email her as well at mdamastis@marylandcapital.org, and we'll get all of those documents to you. And with that, are there any questions? Remember, you got people who control some money here.
I have a comment and a question.
Sure.
One thing is I'm a provisional SCORE volunteer,
Yes.
mentor. So I just want to do full disclosure. I'm one of the free resources. And my question was, how do you evaluate leased equipment versus purchased equipment?
Sure. So we do that on a case-by-case basis. So we sort of look to see what makes sense for the business. I will say in general, most of our clients purchase equipment and don't lease or rent it. But there have been situations where folks might need a fleet of trucks or a fleet of equipment where leasing made more sense. So as long as you can make an argument either way, we'll be happy to look at it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
So one of your
Nick.
statements was you should have a passion about the business. And what I'm considering is a new venture, but one that I think is needed in the community. So, but I have no experience in terms of the business, and but I just think that it'll be a business that the community would benefit from having.
Sure. So what you do in those situations, what your passion, it sounds to me like, is, you want to provide a resource to your community, and this is a way that you can do that. And that's a perfectly wonderful reason to start a business. And a lot of people do it just for that reason. What I suggest you do that is find somebody else who runs a similar business and talk to them about, what they did to start it up. In my experience, small businesses love helping other small businesses. I think there was one other question I saw.
Hi, Nick. Yeah, Marie here. Thank you for all that information. Very helpful. I was just wondering, I am looking to start a business in the District of Columbia and to do medical care services in Maryland. I was just wondering if that is anything in particular regarding a legal structure that I would have to set up in order to be eligible to work in Maryland as a provider.
Sure.
So I was just wondering, in that situation, is that something I have to set up in Maryland as a provider, or is that something that I just work out once I have patients in Maryland?
Sure. So I would definitely in each field it's a little bit different. So, and I'm not sure about the medical field. You may be just absolutely all right to be registered in the District of Columbia and serve people all over the country.
Right.
But what I would do is I would check with Maryland. There is I think it's called a foreign entity. And that way you can say, I've got a business that's registered, in DC, Delaware, China, wherever, but I do business in Maryland, and that gets you in the good standing in Maryland to get you access to a lot of services.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, that I'll look up the resources that are allowed to foreign entities in Maryland. Thank you
Yep,
so
and
much.
you're welcome. If you have additional questions as you're going through it, just feel free to contact us individually.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Nick, and thank you, Miri.
You're welcome. All right. Any
You,
other
you
questions?
mentioned, I have a question. You mentioned that if you have real estate that you want to use as your collateral, does that mean that you'd have to be willing or able to pull the equity from that real estate, or just show that there is equity in it?
So yeah, we just want to show that there is equity in it. So you don't really need to do anything, you pull anything aside. We are always happy to take like the last position on the loan. So if you got a mortgage and a home equity loan, we'll happily go in the number 3. All righty. Any other questions? Oh, looks like we got something in the chat. All right, so somebody said they've already got their federal ID and articles, and they've opened up the checking and savings, and they need to do some modifications on their business plan. What you should do next is email me directly. We will start, I'll get you a client intake form, and I'll happily review your plan and, give you any suggestions that I might have. All righty, any other questions? Well, I always think of my best questions after these things end. So please remember N. Rudolph at marylandcapital.org. Just remember my name. It's just Christmas, Nick Rudolph. And then Miri M. Damastis at marylandcapital.org. Thank you all for participating. Like I said, we've got many, many more coming up, and that Women's Business Center conference in March down in Salisbury. So we hope to see you all again. Thank you very much.